Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Back in June at WWDC, Apple announced the latest version of iOS, which is iOS 12, and I've been using the public beta for a few months now and just wanted to share a few of the features that I found coolest. The interesting thing about this beta is there's been 10 public releases and I think 12 developer ones, which is a bit unusual because they usually don't release that many. One of the things they did talk about was how they were focusing on performance on this one. So there's not as many features, but I guess it shows with the amount of betas that they want to get it right in terms of performance and just general reliability, which I know there's been an issue for them in the last couple of versions. So let's check it out. Okay, so one cool feature that I've seen is called screen time. So this shows you how long you've been using various apps for on your phone. So you can see it shows you the overall time there, then it gives you a breakdown per app. You can even see how many times you picked up your phone and how many times you got notifications. So it's quite useful to see if you're using your phone too much, I guess. And yeah, you can see the full breakdown there of all the different apps, and you can split into categories if you want. If you dive down into the individual app, you can see how much you've used that one on average per day, and then you can also add limits. So I've already added a limit there, but I'll show you adding another one. Once you've added the limit, you can delete them if you want, and I don't know why you can have multiple limits per app, but you can. Okay, so once you've added the limit, if you go back to your home screen, you can see there's a little timer next to the app now, and when you open it, it will say you've reached your limit if you set that limit. You can just click ignore, and it gives you two options: reminder 15 minutes or ignore the limit for today. So if you do just click ignore, then you can get straight into the app. I know Google have done a similar thing on Android P, but I think it's a bit harder to disable. So it's both good and bad, depends on how useful you'll find this. And then in your little widget thing there, it shows you your overall one just as a quick breakdown. Okay, so another feature I found quite cool is called Siri Shortcuts. So you can get to that through your settings menu. I find it easiest to search for it. And you can see here, it's got some suggested ones here, which we'll give it a go. So what it does, it allows you to record a word that you can say on Siri and attach an action to it. So let's try one here. Test. So I've assigned test to recording a new voice memo, so let's give it a go. Hey Siri, test. And you can see that it's jumped straight into voice memos and it started recording a new memo already. So it's quite cool to see that they're letting you do this. So that's the memo recorded. Now if we go back, we can have a look at adding another one. So again, quickest way to get to it, just search for Siri. And then let's add it for listen to my most recent one. Second test. Okay, so let's try this one. Hey Siri, second test. Okay, so as you can see, it's going straight into playing my most recent recorded voice memo. So voice memos might not be the most useful thing that you can do with this, but it was pretty exciting to see that they've added this. Because it's pretty similar to what Google let you do with Assistant, and hopefully if developers add support for it, you'll be able to do a lot of things out the gate with Siri that you couldn't do before. And being able to do it with just a custom action works really well with Siri, so that you don't have to say necessarily like, hey Siri, let me record a voice memo. You can just get straight into it with whatever phrase you want, which I think is really useful, and I love to see that kind of customization come to these kind of platforms. So a big feature which I think everyone's going to love is group notifications. So as you can see here, I've got some notifications from Gmail, I've got some notifications from IFTT, and on the older versions of iOS, when you go into your notification center, it would show a full list of all of those notifications. Now it groups them per app, which just makes everything so much cleaner. It's no longer a mess of just notification after notification after notification. It's grouped by app, and you can just tap on the app and you can see all of them individually. You can hide them again if you don't want to action them straight away. Works both for the same with them, and you can clear the groups one by one or get rid of them all, and it just makes for a much more pleasant experience. It brings it on par with Android in terms of that. So another thing that Apple have been focusing on recently is augmented reality stuff, and they've added a measure app by default to the iPhone. So you can pick your phone up, you can look at a surface, and you can just start drawing lines onto the screen basically, and it shows you the length of the line, which is quite cool. Obviously I'm just sitting here on a table, so measuring the table is not much use, but you could imagine using it to measure furniture or space for furniture, because I know not everyone has measuring tapes just lying around. I'm fairly sure it's quite accurate. I guess maybe I should have tried it on a ruler, but either way, quite a cool feature to have built into the OS. So if we look here on Apple's website, and as you saw in the little cut of the keynote at the start, there are a lot more features that are coming to iOS. A couple of my other favourite ones, which I'm not able to show, are stuff like the new features coming to CarPlay. So previously in CarPlay you could only use Apple Maps. Now you can use whatever map app you want, like Google Maps, Waze, which is great because I think a lot of people prefer that to Apple Maps. You've got a new API for password managers, which I think is great because I love using my password manager, but previously it would only autofill in Safari and other apps from Apple's own password storage, but now you can use apps like LastPass, Dashlane, 1Password, they'll all fill automatically. Generally, it does seem pretty snappy. I'm using it on iPhone 6s Plus, so it's not the most modern device, but it does seem pretty quick. And it's good to see Apple focus on performance for some of the older devices. Some of the numbers they quoted you saw there on the screen are saying 70% faster camera launch, 50% faster to get the keyboard up, and 2 times faster app launch. It's hard to actually measure these numbers, I guess, but it's good to see that they are focusing on performance. Okay, that's pretty much it for this. If there's any features I've missed that you're looking forward to, let me know in the comments. If not, I'll see you on the next one.